opposed, you listen for it. Fair and clear.
Our Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for the opportunity to be alive and rejoice today and live in your grace. And Lord, we just ask you tonight to help us all to come together and make good decisions for our parish and the people we represent. Lord, we thank you for Jesus. We thank you for him died on the cross for our sins. In his holy name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John Dykes. I just noticed that in Washita Parish they try to stop the prayer, so if they come here, they're gonna have a problem.
I understand. I think they're gonna have a problem with Washington.
Well, they're gonna have a problem. I just want to make sure that that's known. We're not taking somebody else's right to pray whatever way they want to. I don't think they should have a right to stop us from praying the way we want. So, get ready.
All right, roll call. Brandy Rance. Bo Barton.
Here.
Melinda Ballard. Here. Baron Glass.
Here.
Maria Bass. Here. Gary Castle.
Here.
Johnny Fallon. Here.
All right. Item A is an executive committee report. Melinda?
That's gonna be me.
Gonna be you.
Everything, all the checks and all the invoices matched.
You gotta do better than that. You gotta do better than that.
I don't talk much, Randy.
Yeah, I know. You and Maria gonna have to start. I'll make a motion.
Sales tax were up.
Sales tax are up, okay.
She gets
Shop
better.
at home, shop at home.
She gets better.
Thank you, Melinda.
I make a motion we accept the just read minutes to what is this?
Executive committee report. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, item B is review and vote on approval of April 20th, 2023 meeting minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the April 20, 2023 minutes. I second.
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, item C is recognize Brooke Phillips as Taylor & Sons Employee of the Month. Mr. Gabriel.
So this is Brooke Phillips. She is one of my 6th grade sped Paris, and I'm going to read what one of the employees wrote about her. Brooke Phillips is a 6th grade sped teacher. She has been a breath of fresh air at the junior high. She works extremely well with students and does anything she is asked to do with a smile. She is always willing to lend a helping hand. This is Miss Brooks' first year, and for her to earn this says that all of her colleagues see what an impact she is making. So, congratulations on behalf of Taylor and Sons.
You actually look like a student.
Yes.
Item D is recognitions. Is she here?
Arnavia and America.
Mr. Castle.
They're not gonna be working. So y'all are gonna recognize them in June. I know that she's ready for that, but
Yeah.
it was kind of a last minute,
Okay.
and I didn't make it back in here.
Okay. All right. So unexpectedly, Nivea and Amaris can't make it tonight, so can we just move that to next to June?
Move item D to next month. All right. Item E is discuss and vote on revision of 23-24 school calendar due to changes in state testing.
So you have a copy of the original calendar and the revised calendar. We have traditionally had a 5-day week in, sometimes it's April, sometimes it's May, and that is because of the state paper-based testing, which 3rd graders are able to do. And since we have restructured the elementary schools, all the 3rd grade students will be on the campus at Columbia Elementary, and their principal, Ms. Gilpatrick, wants to move to computer-based testing. So as long as we're not doing paper-based testing, we don't have to go on that Monday because the computer-based is through a Windows. And so we are asking that we take off that Monday that was originally scheduled in, okay, we got me out. in May, okay, and move it to the end of the school year.
Nick, what's the logic for the change?
That, the 5-day week is hard on students, teachers, everybody, and it's not our norm, and the only reason we've done the 5-day week is because of the paper-based testing. And since the principal's not going to do paper-based testing in 3rd grade, she's gonna do computer-based, and we don't have to go to school on that required day.
I'm assuming, Kim, that's some stuff that you guys basically discussed and I guess concluded that that's gonna be in the best interest.
We've been working towards, our 3rd graders being ready for computer-based for several years now. They've been taking online tests through AMET and other sources for several years, getting them accustomed to it. And, this year, they're like, it's kind of like, it's hard to go from one to the other, but this year they were like, we should have done it. Because kids are so used to taking tests on computers now and reading books on computers, and they're ready for that transition. Paper test booklets, as Chrissy's running here, but paper booklets is very difficult and very stressful and very time consuming when it comes to preparing for testing. Chrissy, do you want to speak on that?
Well, and the kids have gotten so used to being on computers and Chromebooks that when you hand them that big thick booklet, it really throws them off. And it's hard for them to go through it and find where to bubble and everything. It's just they become adapted to using the computer for everything.
I guess my only concern is that I know many kids that can use a computer, but they can't read. So I just wanna make sure that, this kid is not being left out, because we do have, kids that, and the superintendent and I talked about this, it's a concern of mine that, we have kids in upper grades that can't read when they should be reading. So I just wanna make sure that everybody was included in the decision that was made, because if you don't, again, we always hear about it, it's about the student, it's about the student, it's about the student. I just wanna make sure that this was thoroughly thought out, and we can get hopefully some of the results that we're looking for.
And it'll be just like the upper grades. If they have that accommodation to have the test read, it'll read it. They'll have earbuds and the test will be read to them.
So we've had 1st and 2nd graders. This is about 3rd grade, am I
This is
correct?
3rd grade, yeah, the only.
We've had 1st and 2nd graders using computers enough to the point where they're ready for computer testing. So it shouldn't affect our test scores.
And they used them a lot during COVID too,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And with our AMET interims that we take in 2nd grade, they start at the very beginning, and then we have a program, Edulastic, that the teachers use. They start off paper, and then they slowly work in the 1st and 2nd grade years, and they scaffold it till they're ready to go. They do their math online as well, with the CERN, our math curriculum. They do that kindergarten through 5th grade, so it's not gonna be a big change for them.
So Kim, when this is done, remind me to get the difference between now and what was in the past, and kind of make a comparison to see, where we at, and if we did what we needed to do, if we needed to change.
Sure.
Does Head Start use computers?
I have, the 3 and 4-year-olds, I have every day.
We felt they could use a tablet better than a device they open. It's just easier to hold with that, and it's got a good cover on
They're
it.
used to holding at home too.
Right.
Or phone.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to make the change to the 4-day week that we need for this. Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, item F is consider bus use and indemnity agreement.
All right, so I have Mr. Geis here to help us,
The bus.
get through this. Yeah.
All right, members of the board, I have received a call that asks that if we as a board allow a private entity or organization to use one of our buses, what would be the legal concerns? And so there are many of them. What I did was I put together a draft of what I call a bus use and indemnity agreement, and I was unable to talk to the insurance company until today. And he has shared some additional concerns that if the board decides to do this, I would have to incorporate into this draft. Those concerns are that anytime you allow someone else to use your bus, first there's confusion among the parents. They see Caldwell Parish School Board on the bus, they assume that's one of our drivers. They assume we're supervising and protecting the kids when we're relinquishing control of the bus. We're just leasing the bus. We also have concerns about who will be driving our bus. How will they drive our bus? In the event that the bus breaks down someplace, it's not a school trip, if it breaks down out of town, who's gonna pay to go get it, tow it? What if we have a wreck? We have a $25,000 deductible at a minimum. And so who's gonna pay that deductible to have it fixed? Also, when an entity leases it, they will have to get their own insurance because our insurance may not give them the amount or the types of insurance that they want. So they would have to agree, and that's what the insurance agent suggested that I put in there, that they will have to get their own insurance in addition to paying our deductible. They'll have to agree to inspect the bus themselves before they use it to make sure that it looks safe, tires look good, because, you know, it's gonna be their responsibility to return it to us without any damage to the interior or the exterior. And if a kid were to rip or cut something, they would have to pay that too. So what I'm telling you is, if you ask me, Mr. Geis, is this, or John, if you say, John, is this something we can do? I would say yes. If you ask me if this is something you should do, I can only tell you what the downsides and the risks are. You know, I personally have concerns, but if you do not share those concerns, I would have to beef up this agreement. It would be costly to those. The person using your bus is going to have to pay you so much a mile for the gas and the other expenses as well. So a lot of people will ask you as a board member, look, we pay taxes here, why can't we just use a bus? We have a unique provision in our Louisiana Constitution. For those of you that are interested in Googling it, the Trivial Pursuit, it's Article 1, Section 14 of our Constitution. It says no public entity such as a school board can donate public funds. And so our courts have said that if you were to allow someone to use something that the public owns for free, that is in fact a donation of public funds. So that's the problem that we're dealing with. So.
And the reason this is brought up is I've had two people who have asked about using that, and one is Miss Pamela Hutchison with the Heroes group about taking the girls who are in that after-school club with her organization on a trip, and then I had a youth pastor at a church ask about using it to take kids to church camp, and my thought is I want to do whatever we can to help give our kids opportunities, but what is the legal, and so that's why I asked guys to let us know.
And I can draft it, but it's going to be harmless. And it's not to pick on or make it difficult for somebody wanting to use it. It's just to cover you from the exposure you may have in the event of an accident or in the event that something were to happen. So,
And if you did have a wreck, the people using it would have to cover the $25,000.
correct, because I mean, otherwise you would be out to $25,000 regardless of whose fault it is.
Mr. Geis, all
Yes,
that
sir.
you just went over, is that all in the 1 through 8?
No, sir. I, on the way down here, spoke to the insurance agent, so the stuff about them procuring their own insurance is not in 1 through 8. We would add that. We would also add something about they agree that there would be no smoking or alcohol use on the bus. We don't want a stinky bus back. So we would put that on there. We'd also put in there that they agree to abide by all safety and
So how long
traffic
would it
laws.
take to do that?
It would take me about 15 minutes.
So it could be done tomorrow,
Tonight.
tonight?
Yes, yes.
So, Miss Tammy, when do y'all want to do this?
I think it's important to say, Mr. Barton, that we've done this before. This is not a new thing. Heroes has, in the past, Heroes is a nonprofit organization that has been in Caldwell Parish since 1999. We've ran after-school youth programs for years. And we have used the school buses before. Never had a problem, always returned them better than we found them. So we treasured the privilege to use the buses. And as far as an accident, you know, they call accidents because you don't plan them. So, of course, we would do all we can not to be involved in the accident. But yeah.
Tammy, did y'all not go through none of this stuff? Y'all didn't, when you say you used it before?
Monica, did we not talk, I think
When
Mr.
we
Sarton
started
had
with John Sarton, and when we started with him, he said as long as it was a Caldwell Parish student, and we had a faculty member, which was Tammy always, then it was never a problem.
and we always use bus drivers. We never
always
secured
used
our
school
own
bus
person.
drivers and we paid them.
Hey, John, I guess I'm confused because since 1993, since I've been on the board, we've never denied anybody to use, a bus of any kind. For 6-7 years, we took kids down to Angola. I just don't understand why it's here, why it's here tonight.
Probably because the first time they asked the lawyer. There's an old picture where these two people are shaking their hands, saying, we've got a deal, now let's run it by legal. Legal shoots it down. My job is to look at things critically and to keep you out of trouble. There are different ways we can structure, and as long as the board knows the risk and is willing to accept that, I'm fine with it.
Well, I think the same risk is when a bus driver is driving a bus, and having an accident. I think the same risk is there. It's something that's going to benefit the school. These are taxpayers that every time we have something, we're asking them to vote on, to support, to deny people the access to use something. It's not like it's every month, every other month, every 3 months. It's basically once a year. So I think that risk justifies the fact to make sure that some kids get exposure, because you've heard people talk about exposure, giving kids an opportunity. Sometimes they don't get the opportunity in school, but they may get it in an extracurricular form. So I think to put all these barriers there, I think that's trying to prevent it from happening. If it can happen, I think it should happen. But to just make issues that's not there, I think that's unfair to anybody that's coming.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, you and I go back a long ways. I'm not making issues that aren't there, but if the
Well, I'm
board
not
wants
saying you
to
and
do
Joe.
it, yeah. All right, so instance, would the board want them to pay for the gas? Would the board want them to pay for the driver? I think that's something that you've got to do. I think they need to understand that if there is an accident, I can't promise them that our insurance would protect them. They may want to look at their own insurance. Now, that's the bare bones.
Let me say this, I'm looking at, Tammy, if you will, I'm looking at number 1.
Okay,
Return the school bus in the same condition. That ain't no problem.
no, sir.
Number 2, inspect the bus. That ain't no problem. Accept the bus as is. That ain't no problem. Allow only properly licensed operators to drive the bus. That ain't no problem. Number 8, advise all passengers on the bus that this ain't got nothing to do with Caldwell Parish School Board. That ain't no problem. So far, 5 out of 8 ain't no problem. So now, indemnify and defend the school board, its members and employees, agents, and insurers against any claim. In other words, John, am I correct? We need to get insurance? Is that what we're saying by indemnify?
What we're saying is if there's a fight on that bus and one kid gets hurt and they sue the school board because they said the school bus driver's driving the bus, who's gonna pay? Who's gonna pay that? I mean, does the board want to pay that?
But that kind of goes back to number 8, doesn't it? To say that, hey, we're telling these this ain't got nothing to do with it.
It does, but members of my profession will
Don't
sue.
really
They're
know
gonna
that.
sue everybody, and so that's. You would be looking at me, Bo and Barrett, and saying, "Well, John, why didn't you warn us of that?" And that's all I'm doing. If you want to accept that risk,
So what I'm looking at is 5 through 7 is basically asking heroes or anybody else to kind of get an insurance policy covering themselves, which, I mean, ain't a whole lot of money to do that. I mean, it's,
It wouldn't be a problem.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you follow those things, I don't see why we couldn't do that. I mean, if 5 through 7 is followed, I don't know why we could even not think about doing it.
And if they had an accident, what about the deductible that they,
Their insurance is gonna take care of that.
Is that spelled out in
we
here?
would have to make
well,
sure that.
I'd have to clarify. And they.
Well, that's
I
the
would
next
want-
thing. Who at the school board makes sure that all that is done? I mean,
Whose job's gonna be
whose
the
job
one
is it
taking
gonna be
care
to
of
do this? These 8 things.
I would say the transportation supervisor.
That's what I think.
But again, all during the summer, John, you see other people. I think we need to cover ourselves. But I think when you put barriers there to prevent stuff from happening, that's where my problem comes in. And I think unintentionally it's here now. Okay, and I have a problem when that takes place because I've heard people talk about what they want to do, how they want to do it, they want kids, and now you're trying to diminish that from happening. I think if you put it in writing and get everybody to understand what's at stake, because again, for 30 years it's been happening. Again, we've taken them to Angola, never paid a nickel, no gas or nothing. The bus driver drove. So all of a sudden it's a problem tonight.
If you ask the lawyer if it's a problem, and the lawyer is confident, he's gonna tell you it's a problem, because Heroes is a great organization.
Well, I
You
mean,
allow
I'm
them
not
to-
even specifically talking about Heroes, I'm talking about in general.
Oh, I know, but in general, what if another group comes in next week and says, hey, you know, Heroes use your.
As long as they follow these policies, I don't care.
Yeah,
Tammy
but you're
said,
gonna want them to pay, that's what I'm getting.
Tammy said,
We had to pay before.
you had to pay before?
Yes, sir. We had to pay,
So,
we had to pay
so
the bus
5 through
driver.
7 doesn't bother you and Monica?
Not at all.
And if you're able to gather that and bring it to Coach James Wells over there, I don't see why we have a problem. As long as they follow the rules that Mr. Geis has put down here and the other 2 or 3 that he advised that we get down, I mean, we live in that crazy world where, you know, anybody can sue anybody. Not that that would happen with T-Rose. I'm just saying that's what we live in. And I trust Tammy and I trust Monica and I trust Mr. Wells to make sure that that happens for our kids. Now, as far as paying the school bus driver, we got enough people that can do all kinds of stuff to pay for a school bus driver. We get that done for our kids.
Well, what happens if, say, there is an accident? Would you always?
You follow these 5 through 7.
Well, what if it takes 2 months to fix that? Do we have extra buses that we can pull to cover when that bus is missing?
We had an accident last month. What'd we do?
That was just.
We
that
have
was
spare
a vendor
buses.
bid.
We've been able to get a lot of our buses fixed this year and put them back on the line. You know, my main concern is when a bus goes out, you know, with us, with our kids on it, you know, we're responsible for it. Engine breakdown, blowouts, whatever it may be. If it goes out with another group though, that's not quote unquote just using our bus, who's responsible for those repairs if something happens? Is it us?
Well, if they didn't cause it, it sure is. I mean, if they didn't cause the problem. I mean, you got a bus with 187,000 miles on it and they're using it and it tears up, it ain't their fault. I mean, don't give them a bus with 180,000 miles on it. That's just the way I see it. I mean, if they didn't cause the problem, I mean,
How many kids are y'all talking about taking?
And we've used the short bus and we've used the bigger bus. Sometimes, I was just, secured a building out in, the Brownville area, and we just started our girls program back. And there's currently only 7 young ladies involved.
so Tammy,
But
where are
we're
you
gonna
taking
be
these
growing.
kids?
We just wanna take them, this will be their first outing.
To where?
To Shreveport, that's we wanna take them to Shreveport. And, do an overnight trip, and most of the girls that we have haven't been even out of Columbia. So we wanna take them and, let them experience the things we've been talking about, because we just don't take them on trips. We meet with them on Mondays and we do life skills training. So we're
So
going
you
to
guys
actually
are
let
willing to
them.
follow 5 through 7 and anything else John Geis adds to?
Yes, sir, this is not new.
But it's not only them. We have a school, I mean, we have a church.
Okay, well, when the
Yeah,
next
there's a
group,
church group from
okay, when that group walks in here, then we treat them the same exact way.
It's Crossroads
Yeah, it's
Baptist
Crossroads
Church, and they're
Baptist
wanting to
Church.
Treat
take
them
them
the same
to.
way. If they're willing to
to camp in
do all of that
Texas.
that's been provided
They're
by our
going to
Lord,
church now.
But
we
if
let
it's,
them do it.
if it's 7 girls, wouldn't it be cheaper to rent a van?
That was for, well, it's 7 girls, but we also have their parents. So it would end up being a trip of like 14, and we were gonna ask if this would go through, we don't need a huge bus for this trip, but we're trying to get the foundation laid for future events, because we have stuff coming down the line that we wanna implement here in the parish to help, enrich the lives of disenfranchised and at-risk youth.
Oh, I know, it's a wonderful program. I miss seeing the kids with the drums and stuff. I used to
Oh,
love
yeah, see,
watching
all
all
that's
that.
coming.
John,
Here's the other issue I have, okay? You can walk on the track anytime you want to. You can break your stinking ankle anytime you want to. You can go on those tennis courts and you can play till 10:30 at night, and you can go out there in the batting cages and swing till you want to swing. And you know why? Because it's what, Nikki? What we call that? Public property. You told me that yourself. It's public property, paid for by taxpayers' money. And if these people or Crossword Baptist Church or anybody else is willing to follow the things set forth by our attorney, I don't see no reason why we deny them. Why do we deny them if they're going to follow all that? And plus, when it's been done for I don't know how many years there in the last.
Well, I was about to ask John, when have you ever had a claim come across your desk in the last 30 years?
For Caldwell,
Yeah.
you've been a good steward and good folks.
I mean, history speaks, there's always a chance you can buy a new bus and something can happen. What I'm saying is, I'm not even limited to heroes. I'm talking about anybody that may want to come in here and use our bus to go anywhere to provide a service to that child. If we have something, measures put in place to minimize that issue, why would we even consider trying to deny it? And again, I don't even know why this is here. And I really have a problem trying to justify why it's here.
This is here to protect the board.
But it hadn't been there for 30 years.
Well,
I just got asked, so I drafted it for you.
And I don't know. As long as I've been in this role, this has never been asked, and I'm always gonna check to make sure what is the legal thing to do. I've said from the beginning, I want this to happen. I want them to have that, but I wanna do it legally because I don't want y'all to come back and say, who gave you, and then again, I don't have the right to make this.
You had the right, Nikki, to make that decision because it's a decision that the superintendent could have made. Okay, but we're here now. So either we vote on it to move forward, and you put whatever you need to put in. If we need to table this until whenever, that's fine, but I don't know when they're trying to go. But what I'm saying is.
When are you trying to go?
You just can't come here every week and say you want to do this, and then you have an opportunity to do it and
The
don't do it.
Shreveport trip, May 30th through 31st.
We ain't taking it. We ain't got
And we
time.
moved it because, we had to wait.
Well, as long as they get
And,
their own insurance,
Well, and that's on here, Gary.
right.
I make a motion that we pass or we approve the request with acknowledgement that any organization that tries to do this follows the guidelines set forth by our attorney. I make the motion.
Well, you also need the correct paperwork to know
Well,
who can sign to.
Guy said it would take 15 minutes.
No, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about for the organization, like.
Is that not on here?
is this the contract right here?
This is a blank.
No, what I'm talking about is your paperwork saying who can sign for Heroes and who can sign for Crossroads. You want whoever's
Oh, yeah.
responsible to be
The
the one to sign
executive
it. You wanna make sure
director.
you've got
Okay.
the correct signature on.
So John, I mean,
So
just put that on
if the
there.
board wants to do that, I can get it done.
All right, you got a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Got a second?
I'll say.
Yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Fowler?
I'm gonna be honest, it scares me, no.
Barron?
Yes.
Maria?
Yes.
Ms. Fallon?
I'm with Melinda. It scares me too much. No.
Gary Castles?
Being on the other crossroads, I'm gonna abstain.
So 3-2.
Yes, sir. That's right.
All right. All right, item G is discuss and vote on adoption of village rates for tax year 2023, fiscal year 2024.
All right, that's item J. You've got a little handout on it. Our property taxes are proposed, or property millage is proposed at 54.04, which is the same as it's been since 2020. We get about 23% of our revenue from property tax, and these are the maximum millages that we can assess, and that's all I have on that.
All right. Any questions? All right, item H is the financial update. Okay, we didn't vote on that.
Adoption village rates, yes.
Got a motion?
I make a motion to accept it.
All right, all in favor? Now we got time to look at it.
Okay. And one more thing, I skipped this, although it's not relevant, in fact, I guess it's more of a financial update. On the bottom half of item G is how much that, we have in receivables that's booked on the, people across the, overpass. We got $1.4 million in receivable. One case is, fiscal year 22, 21, and 20. And that, according to Scott Meredith, is maybe another month, which we've heard that several months in a row. And he said something about the attorneys, keep on working judges, or, it's always somebody's passing the buck kind of thing. So anyway, I just want to bring you up to date on that.
What year is that, Noah?
Fiscal year 20, 21, and 22, and now 23 as well. And that's 23 is under a new court case. So, Scott did say that we are petitioning the court for the other side to be charged legal fees, because we're just spending the money. It's we means the parish, not us specifically. So, anyway, that's all there is on that. H1 is a recap of where we are for the first quarter, or quarter ending 3/31/23. And we're required to provide this to you, show you where we are financially, and this shows you how we group our funds. We have general fund, other operating funds, state grants, and federal grants. Your state grants and your federal grants large will carry a zero fund balance at all times, which is as required. And then general fund, we'll talk about that, and the other operating funds, we'll talk about that in more detail on H2. This is financial analysis as of April 30th. And again, it's kind of the same thing we've been talking about for the past several months. We're going to end the year somewhere probably around $500,000 to $750,000 in the red. And talking to John Geis before the meeting started, we're not unusual. I talked to a parish just south of us. They're looking at $600,000 for the foreseeable future under deficit. The same problems that we have, declining enrollment with insurance costs has gone high.
What kind of decline in enrollment?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what our enrollment was in October 2022, or can you send that to me?
I can send it to you.
Would you please?
Yes, I will.
So let me ask you a quick question. When I start looking at these numbers, I'll be honest with you, I just get all discombobulated. So,
I'm right there with you. Because I don't
so
have
in layman's terms,
Uh-huh.
we $550,000 in the red. How do we continue to exist?
We can continue to exist because we've got $7 million in the bank.
Okay.
And in fact, if you look back on that,
I'm just going to listen to you talk. I'm not going to look for it.
We got, as of June 30th, 22, we had $7,390,000 in the bank.
Okay.
And,
So when you say we're 550,000 in the red, we really not, but by our budget we are, and,
Yeah.
but we've got
For
this
the
sitting
year,
over here for our nest
for the
egg.
year, we're going to drop $550,000.
Off of that 7 million.
Right, or $750,000.
7
somewhere
million.
around there.
Okay. I got you. I'm
So-
clear now. I understand.
Yeah. So that's where that number is coming from. And, yeah, I mean, where we are right now, we can be fine for 4 or 5 years. That's not where I want to be.
Yes, sir.
I'd rather be breaking even, by far.
Breaking even and drawing interest,
Exactly.
making
And-
money.
Yep. But, as it is, we at Caldwell and just about every other school board I've talked to, they're in the same boat with the decline in enrollment and higher insurance costs, whether they're talking about property insurance or OGB. They both have gone up quite a bit. So that's where we are.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's all that I have on financial update.
All right, thank you up again. Status of findings from June 2022.
Yep, that's item I. We had 3 findings, and they're pretty minimal. First one's on internal controls over accounts payable. The auditor wants us to set up where we do positive pay. That's where we tell the banks that, we've written 5 checks and they're, for these amounts. And they'll only clear those checks for those amounts. So if another check comes through that's bogus, the bank will kick it out. So the program's been around for a while. And really, that's more of a protection for the banks, because if a check comes through that's drawn on our account, but it's bogus, and it's not written by or signed off by Nikki and Gary, then it's not our fault. I mean, anybody run a check through and claim that it's on us. But as it is, the auditors think we should implement that. That's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal, we don't write a bunch of checks every day.
Well, it's not a big deal as far as implementing the request.
Yes, sir.
So, that's the first item. Item 2 was, Louisiana bid law. And we had, 2 or 3 people or 2 or 3 entities that we did not either get appropriate documentation on that we did it, or that we did go a little bit higher. And then there was a little bit of disagreement with the auditor because we had one that was like Amazon, or I think it was Amazon, where, I mean, we buy different things throughout the year from Amazon. None of them are one unique item where, you know, they're gonna break the threshold of a $10,000 item. But collectively, we were over $12,000. And she thought that we should be bidding that, and really it's not biddable. That finding really will go away because the state has upped all of our bid law requirements. So it's.
Do we always have to go with the lowest bid?
No, you do not.
Thank you.
We have to justify why we're not,
Yes,
but
sir.
we don't have to. And that's for materials and supplies. For services, we can do whatever we want to.
I mean, if we like something more than we like something else, we don't have to go with the lowest bid.
Right, in a general sense.
Yes, sir.
So, but anyway, the bid law has gone up quite a bit, so the finding will go away on the same. And the last item is late submission to the auditors, to the legislative auditor. And I have now, you know, we were late on different years. You know, we were 11 months late on 2020, and that's because of the shutdown. Then we improved that to 9 months, and then this past year we were behind by 2.5 months.
What's the reason for lateness there?
Well, again, a lot of the problems on that first year was the shutdown.
I'm talking about now, this year.
Just
Or last
catching
year.
up, just catching up. I mean, whenever, if you look at the previous year, 2021, we were 9 months late. That meant that audit went in on September 30th, 22. So we were still dealing with that audit while we were starting up a new year and everything else.
So it's more or less nitpicky?
Sorry.
Just more or less nitpicky?
No, they're not nitpicky. I mean, it was clean relatively, so, I mean, and we anticipate not being an issue. So we should be back on the good side on that. And then the next 4 pages are the findings that came out of financial audit. First 2 pages are the findings from the auditors, and then the last 2 pages are our responses. So, but anyway, I summarized them fairly well. They're there for your review. I'm gonna send out a PDF on the audit, tomorrow. I meant to do it earlier and I didn't. So anyway, you're gonna get the full audit report going out. And that's all I have on that. And I have to brief y'all on the audit statuses as a requirement for some new thing that the legislative auditors require. So that's the reason we're seeing it.
Any other questions? Thank you, David.
Thank you, sir.
Item J is discuss and vote on migration from QuickBooks to Key Group Incorporated for school activity funds.
Yep, item J. Currently, we use QuickBooks for all of our school activity funds. There's 6 bank accounts, 1 at each school. And QuickBooks has been a great program for where we had it. We've had it since 2011. And a lot of the programs are from 2011. And there's 2 or 3 schools that cannot move QuickBooks onto their regular computer because the computer is strictly old enough to be able to use that software. The software will not be compatible with the upgrade of the computer. So that's the first problem. I know at the junior high, the computer is pretty much giving error messages every time they get into QuickBooks. So they're dead in the water. Now then, the new group, Kev group, they are in 36 parishes. They're picking up 4 more this year. They're 100% in all the school districts of Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, Hawaii. In Texas, they got the Dallas School District, Fort Worth, and the Austin School District. They got 21,000 clients. I talked to legislative auditor who used to be at Ascension Parish School Board. She raved about it. Said they brought him in 4 or 5 years ago, and she said it has really helped get all the cash out of the classroom because they're making online payments from the parents' perspective. You know, it's not absolute, I mean, it's 89% is what Ascension is at right now, that is online. The other 11%, people don't wanna go online for whatever reason, and that's still an option. But it's pulling a lot of the time out of the teachers, from being able to, or, having to do bookkeeping, basically, pulling in dollars and then send them into the office, and then the secretary having to go through the same thing. So it removes a lot of financial risk, and being able to put the program into existence where the parents pay directly and the money feeds into a bank account, and then from that bank account, it feeds directly into the 6 bank accounts.
So you're saying right now, money's going from the parent to the classroom?
Yes.
I thought we, Gary, I don't know if he was on the board, I thought we fixed that at some point, where money wasn't going directly to schools or classrooms, it was going to an account. Maybe I'm talking about something else, I don't know.
I don't know. But, I mean.
The money goes to the teacher, and the teacher logs it in and sends it to the office, and then the secretary counts it, and then makes the deposit slip out for the bank, and then sends the receipts back to the students, and so it's just that cash flow.
Right, because I think, John, there was something, one of the accounts, we had issues with the money going in places that it shouldn't be going. There was some, it may have been something different, but I know we dealt with something like, it was an account, Booster Club account of some kind, and you guys had some issues with it, and it was something put in place to prevent that.
Yeah, historically, our auditors have always had trouble with booster clubs and receiving the money and
Right.
make sure, so there have been best practices that have been, over the years, have been implemented.
So David, you're wanting to go from what people have always used, QuickBooks, to something else.
Right. And QuickBooks is strictly just an accounting debits and credits. It does not provide the online activities that we're looking for. Right. QuickBooks, if we were to bring QuickBooks up into the 2023 year, and like I said, we've been rocking along on this 2011 version since 2011. You know, we paid whatever we had to in that year, and we owned it.
So if you were on the other side, the auditor, where you came from, would you recommend this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can pay school fees online, you get a receipt, I guess, right then?
Whatever. I don't know
I
the
mean,
exact
not to
answer.
throw anybody on the bus.
An electronic
School fees
receipt, yes,
before,
you
we
would.
had to pay it again because it got lost or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
The accounting, we sat in a professional development on it. The accounting piece of it is amazing, because you put it in, if you're in an art club, then all the students, it populates from your student information system, you're in the art club, and this is your fee. It automatically lets the parent know what they owe, they can pay it online, and it checks it off. There's no losing money, there's no losing receipts, there's no, I mean, it's because it's strictly between the parent and the system.
And gate fees for athletics.
That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
there's still an
ask.
option, somebody that couldn't do it
Gate
online.
gate fees for athletics
So go to the
can be
office.
online, they
And
can
it's
come in
all-
with a QR code on their phone, scan it in, and go right in, no lines. So,
And parents can pay for multiple students, like if you have a student at multiple schools, they can go online one time and pay for all their children at once.
Send it to where it needs to go.
How expensive is it?
Okay, QuickBooks would be $9,000, and that has no bells and whistles for the online program. I have that pricing. The ongoing cost will be $11,400 per year.
For the Cavs?
Sir?
For the Cavs?
Yes. And the first year, there's an additional $1,200 for setup fees. Each transaction, they get 4%. We get 96%.
Who pays for that?
We.
You're supposed to tell me the parent, because I did it at Western Row and I paid a $3,500 dance bill and they charged me 4% on it and I couldn't stand it.
In that case, you should have written a check.
They wouldn't take it.
Seriously.
They wouldn't take it.
Really?
No, sir, you had to do you had to do the care.
But we're
That's
gonna do
okay.
both.
We're gonna do both.
Good.
I mean, because I.
So we
understand
have
that.
another option for our parents that are gonna call Nikki and gripe about that.
Right.
Okay,
So anyways, 4% plus 10 cents per transaction.
okay.
This
So-
4% is gonna be paid by who?
The parent.
All right, say that you have a T-shirt that's $10. You know, whether we go to 11 and, you know, because there's gonna be a price increase in general on everything. You know, say that t-shirt will now be $10.43. And then, yeah, the 4% will also be in there, and we would charge, I'm gonna make up numbers, $11, $10.50, whatever. So it's gonna be embedded in
Included
the
in
price, yes. There's not gonna be it's $10 plus 4%. Because the drive is, you want as much online activity going through as possible. If you charge $10, or $10.40 versus $10 on a cash basis, you're gonna have people wanting to do the cash basis, we're trying to get out of that. And that does reduce our fraud problem. Not that we have a problem, but potential.
So David, if you're doing that, then you're jacking the parents' price up. They're paying the 4%, not the school board.
That's correct.
But you pay it when you use the debit card in most places anyway.
Who pays it?
You did. When
You
you go to Duke's, you
indirectly
pay
pay
it all
Online,
with
if they
your
get your,
card.
hunting fishing license, they charge you $5.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to,
Department of Motor Vehicles, they charge.
yeah,
The
drugstore charges you 4% of what your bill is
But
to
you
use
gotta-
your card.
and even if you go to, Mad Jack's down here, I mean, that's not an automatic 4% that you see.
But it's
I
in the
guarantee
price
you
and you
it's-
just don't see it.
I guarantee you it's
Right,
embedded.
right.
And if you pay a cash balance, pay a cash amount, it's, they're still gonna charge you the same amount.
So Dave, because everybody else is doing it, we should be comfortable doing it. And the reason why I'm asking that is because you take a parent who is on got $10 or $12 in their account.
Right.
The uniform is $10. They're not gonna be able to use it because they don't have enough money to be in it, but they got the money that's there. The $10 is there.
Okay.
So I guess I look at everybody's position in situation, not just, I guess I'm really frustrated and rattled right now, so
Okay.
if it sounds that way, it's probably because it's true. Because I see and I hear all types of stuff, but I see different actions. Do we have to do this tonight? I mean, because if we do want to vote no, I want to think about this.
You don't have to do it tonight. If
I'm
you don't-
like Melinda now, I'm not comfortable.
Oh, okay, and I understand that. And if you don't do it tonight, it's going to delay us a little bit. And the only reason all this came about was because of the QuickBooks going down into June. And then it was like, we really got to do something. Had I had a crystal ball, I would have said, oh, shoot, it's about to be.
Yeah, I'm not blaming you, but
No,
I'm
I'm
stressed.
just telling you the background. I would have started in January. It's not a deal breaker if we start it, later in the year, after the school starts. I mean, if we, in order for everybody to get comfortable. I'd rather everybody be comfortable. and
All
go
of our
forward.
computers will be compatible with it. We have
Yeah.
computers that are ready
Yeah.
for it. And then they will come in with training.
Yep.
And the secretaries work all summer pretty much, don't they? So they'll be,
No.
Now, Dave, is it a way that you can assign 50% to both entities, the school and the parent?
So is the issue the cost?
Well,
The
let me
issue-
ask this question. I heard that if I'm a parent that can't afford it, I can pay the old-fashioned way. But if I want the convenience of doing the card, so there'll be a lower price, and I think.
Well,
We're
I
trying
guess,
to keep it one
I
price.
guess it's kind of because my issue is we have free dress down day, but kids still have to pay to go to dress down day. So I think the school is just making money everywhere that they can while they're putting all this associated cost on the parent. I'm for the parent at this point. So we can go forward. I'm just a no vote.
Well, what if we set it up to where it's the regular cost and the parent pays the convenience fee? And then if you don't wanna pay the convenience fee, then you write a check or you send the money. If you wanna pay the
4%
convenience,
less.
yeah, and you pay, and you don't hide the cost. You just, here's the cost, if you want to do it online, I'll
Convenience fee
pay.
and.
When I paid for lunch
And if I
online,
wanna do
I
it,
would
I
pay
can do
the
it.
dollar every time because I didn't want to have to go write a check and send it with my kid, so.
And this
So,
one,
I got-
some of them will do it, some of them won't.
Yeah.
I got a little confused, so QuickBooks costs us how much money?
It will cost us $9,000.
For how long?
1 year.
Thank you.
And it
Every
only
year, so it is an
functions-
annual deal, and then
it only has a few functions. It
the
doesn't
KEV
have a lot.
costs us how much?
11,
So we're talking about $2,000 difference to go to something that's a whole lot more friendly. And we also have the option to, if we want to write a check or pay cash, we can do that as well.
Yeah, let's don't hide it in there, I think that's.
Yeah, I don't wanna
the wrong
hide
thing
it.
to do.
I don't wanna hide, I'm like Barry and Gary, I don't wanna hide it. I'm just-
Well, I just don't want them to be associated with a cost that, you know, we're already doing outrageous things anyway. So, I mean, that's just one more thing to a parent who's already struggling. So, again, I'm a no vote. I'm only 1 of 6 that's here. So, and I feel strongly about that. Because I don't like to face people and tell them this, and then I'm here representing them doing something totally different. No, it's a burden for a lot of people that most in here don't deal with on a daily basis that I do. So $10 and you associate another 40 cents or whatever. If they go to Francis, when you have to use your card, I think they charge $1. You can't get a burger, but you got $10 in your account. You should be able to use that, but understanding fees and stuff are there. So I'm just saying, I'm looking, you know, for those people who, I mean, some people are struggling because I see them every day. I have them knocking on my door, you know, wanting $1 or $2 just to get whatever it is that they need to get. So I understand that burden, and I just can't push it on them. But just because I can do it, don't mean I can't look out for somebody else who can't do it. And that's just my position on it. I mean, if we go to it, hopefully it'll work out. I think it's a good idea. If the cost wasn't associated, I'll be the first one to jump on it. I hate using cash out, because when you get something, you're getting the money, but you got to pay to use it. I mean, it's a rip-off. You know, when you look at it, but it's convenient, but you're paying for convenience, I understand.
It's a convenience fee.
Yeah.
But because, you know, the credit cards, they cost them to process.
Yeah, it does, it costs them.
Well aware.
Well, the other thing it does, it keeps so much cash from exchanging
Well,
hands.
that's the most
From
important
the
thing.
student to the teacher, from the teacher to the secretary to the bank.
But if I was a parent, I would be saying, well, why can't the school pay the cost instead of me? That's the position that I'm looking at it from. I don't have parents that'll tell me that, so I gotta speak for them. Why can't the school pay that? School has got more money than any parent. So, again, for those people who are not here, I'm asking, why can't the school pay it? If it's only 40 cents, we're saying that it's not that much. Well, if it's not that much, let the school take it.
That's enough.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. I don't like just one option on nothing. I like to be able to choose from something. And I think that's a balance, because at least you have a chance to look
As long
at
as we got a cash payment, I'm good with it.
it. Yeah.
They can do either way.
Yeah, I'm saying it both ways, that's what I say.
And this thing is safe. I mean, we ain't having no people's stuff being stolen and being hacked and all that kind
Well,
of.
I'm sure it's hackable as much as anything else. I'm not gonna say
Can't
it's.
guarantee that.
And who's accountable for that if it does get hacked? Is
Well,
Cab Group, they
would
responsible
have
for
to-
that? Okay. Somebody make a motion.
So are we gonna add a convenience fee and not do the percentage, or do we want to table and wait till?
Now, you can vote on it. I know where I stand.
I like that.
Okay, so I'll say, what, $1 or a percentage, what are we gonna? what was
4%.
Well, it has to be,
Yeah.
they determine the amount.
They determine the
Yeah,
amount?
they do that.
We're just not gonna vary the cost.
So it's
in
$10.40.
Yeah.
So the t-shirt's $10, this
Yes,
is your
ma'am.
convenience fee, this is the taxes,
Yeah.
and this is your total.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it's written out like that, then you're not hiding anything from anybody, everybody should be okay with that. So I make the motion, we do it like that.
Okay.
I second.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Glass?
No.
Ms. Bass?
Yes.
Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
All right. Item K is, if approved, discuss and vote on new bank account, Caldwell Bank and Trust for operational activities of the school activity funds.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Popular or not?
We, in order to run the software, it has to have a control account. I forget what the bank might call it, sweep account.
Sweet account.
Where all the money goes into this account, and then it disperses to the other 6 bank accounts and the Caldwell Group for their 4%. And that's what this account would do. Obviously, we keep the same signatures that we had on the other accounts with Nikki, Gary, and Randy. I would have online access as well as Carla. And there's a brief recap of, of what's going on in that account. So that's what that is.
Say that again, David. Who will have access to it?
Carla and I will have online access to it, not transactional activity. So when
You can look at it.
We look at it,
Yeah.
exactly.
But there shouldn't be much transactions because it's a sweep account, so it's gonna go in there, and then at night it's gonna go to the different spots where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So the morning it'll be zero, and then collect that day and do it again. I've learned a little bit.
So we have to approve this thing?
Yes.
You want me to abstain because I work at Caldwell?
No, you want you to make a motion.
Oh, you want me to make a motion? Does anybody else want to make a motion tonight?
And really, you don't talk.
I make a motion that we do the bank account at Caldwell Bank for the sweep funds of PET.
No, we had citizens.
Would then I channel some?
We'll need to create one.
Well, you make the motion.
It says
Okay.
Caldwell
It
Bank.
says Caldwell here and then
The,
it says
the
citizens.
agenda says Caldwell Bank and the agreement
Ah.
says citizens.
The agreement needs to be
Oh,
citizens.
you tried to be
because
tricky
that's-
on
I'm sorry.
So we need to amend that motion, right?
Yes.
Or
So it
change it.
needs to be a Caldwell Bank or a Citizens?
Citizens, it needs to be citizens.
Oh, see, you answered that wrong.
I apologize.
So I changed it to the bank account at Citizens Progressive Bank.
I'll second your motion.
Is there a roll call again or not? All right, all in favor? All right. Item L, adopt 2023 compliance questionnaire for financial audit.
All right, that was my last one. We do this every year for the auditors, and it's just a basic compliance questionnaire saying that we've given you everything that you've asked for. We will give you everything that you're asking for. We've complied with certain laws that just in the compliance question. The important thing to look at is the last page, which has your name on it. Just make sure your address and phone number is correct.
Is that what you give us over there?
That's the way it's part of it.
David, I've asked Kaylee for about 20 different documents thus far and haven't received them.
So that's when you can pay them.
He's the one that wrote that Caldwell Bank on the agenda. So let me just go ahead and put him on the
I
He has some work to do tonight, because I gave him that
She did. So anyway, that's what the compliance question is. So I know I got 2 new board members here that, we do it every year.
All right,
Need to adopt.
we got to adopt that. All right, so I have a motion to adopt this.
Sean, it's your turn. I make a motion to adopt this.
All in favor? All right.
Well, we just say it's late as night tonight.
I guess
Thursday night, late as night.
That's a good song.
Item L is district leaders update.
Yes. I'm happy to say that we have over 300 enrolled in our summer camp. We are busting at the seams. We've had our end-of-year transition meetings at all 3 elementary schools. I think we've met and talked to probably over 150 parents in the last 3 days. And we are packing up and we have our transition plan going.
We've had our transition meetings where Ms. Smith came to the pre-K, observed classes, and then we sat down that afternoon and went through the entire roster, looking at students with IEPs or different things where she had laid eyes on the kids, before seeing them. So we went through and did that. They completed all their end-of-year testing. Our registration first round is June 6th and 7th at Kelly. 2 new things that have happened that with everything going on, we just kind of had mentioned. We have acquired a 2020 van for Head Start. It was a grantee that was no longer going to be a grantee, and so they had to put things out. So it was just a simple transfer. It's really nice. George, that's what it's leather seats. It's more for adults. It can be used to carry kids. So our thought, with it being no cost to us, is parents need to go to doctor's appointments. They can't make it to IEPs, things like that is what it'll be used for those kids. So, and then last week we found out that I had applied for a family engagement grant, and we are one of 5 districts in the state that got a $100,000 family engagement grant for our first of 5. So we're really excited about that.
So what does that mean in first instance?
Well, we've only had one meeting, so what we had to do at first was just give our goals for family engagement, like what our thoughts are in our, with our Ready Start Network, we have pillars, and each pillar you've got goals for those. So for our family engagement goals, they just share those, and they just had like 3 questions. It was real, like, what would you do, how would you do it, and what are the barriers you saw. So, they said that they chose rural districts, I guess maybe ones who don't normally have the access to that kind of money, based on our applications. And so it's a fast grant. The money will be available July 1 and has to be spent and requested by December 15th.
So what does it have to be spent on?
Well, last week was our first meeting with them, and they gave us just some real broad guidelines, anything related to families. And so we have our next meeting next week, and they're gonna give us the budget detail that we'll have to use. So we're just kind of thinking some outreach, some activities, anything to bring the parents in. We're gonna do that, and we can even use it for food. So like maybe having pizza with the meeting or something where the kids can be there, they'll be fed, the parent can be there and present whatever information it is. So we have the conscious discipline things. Some things we've already got scheduled, so we're gonna kind of piggyback along with that to provide some extra things with it. So it'll be fast, a lot going on, but I think the more we can get them in, the better. So
Can we go back to the van a minute? I kind of lost me right there. So we got a van, and what do we do with that van?
it came to us at no cost because
Good.
it was another Head Start grantee that was losing their grant. They just had to, they put it out to the specialists, anyone in the district. So we received one, and Children's Coalition of Monroe. So one of the things with Head Start is when families can't get to the school, when they can't get to these events, we're supposed to help them. So, or can't get to an IEP meeting.
So it's a
We
pickup
pick them
van,
up,
pretty
more or less. We can use it for the kids. We would have to outfit it with car seats because they're not in there right now. So if it was, we have the large bus. It'll hold 90 kids. So we rarely would need another thing. But we've had a particular child who has vision problems, and mom can't get her to the specialist. So if we made that appointment, then one of our employees could drive mom and the child to and pick them up, take them to the appointment, bring them back.
Sweet.
Dental visits, anything like that would help those families.
So we insure that van?
Yes.
Our school board insures that van?
Yeah.
Why couldn't it come out of their own federal fund?
It's a free van.
Why couldn't the insurance come out of that federal
Oh,
fund?
again, I assume.
I'm assuming you're saying it's coming out of general fund.
Well,
because-
I mean, it was insured, I didn't say who paid for it.
Well, I'm assuming if you're saying that it's insured, we're paying for it.
I'm not sure what we paid for. Well, it'd be in the next year's premium, yeah.
Yeah.
General fund.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I was just asking if they have federal funds, couldn't, because I know Ms. Wilder does a lot of things from federal funds. I'm not saying it has to, I'm just saying that there's another option. So if it comes out of general fund, it's out of general fund. But if they have their own,
Yeah, we would not specifically be able to break it out of that
Really?
cost in order to legitimately,
Probably because it's part of the fleet policy. Yeah.
it's part of the fleet.
We'd probably have to have our own policy to
And
do
it would
that.
not show up for a number for the federal program. Yes. Good question, you threw me
Yeah.
on balance on that.
Yeah.
That's all.
I wish the answer was yes, we could.
I do too.
Thank
Me?
you.
All right. IT's getting geared up for a long summer. The first thing we're trying to do is get good inventory on the Chromebooks for the restructuring for the elementary schools, so we can shift to all 3 schools and make sure we have not only one-to-one, but backup Chromebooks at each location. As they are right now, they're in Google Management for the schools they're at. We have to have the inventory so we know which devices specifically will go to the other schools so that they can be managed on our Google admin side. That's the biggest thing we're working on right now. So
Mike, I have heard several people brag on how well you do your job. So hats off to you.
Thank you. Just here to do my job.
I've heard several people from different schools brag on it. I don't know if you get told that. If you're not, we're telling you tonight. Good
Appreciate
job.
it. Appreciate it.
We try to hype them up as much.
Yeah, well, and the reason why I'm saying that, because I know you're at different places, so they may not have access to you like we do now. So I just want to let you know that people are noticing what you're doing, and just whatever it is that you're doing, just keep doing it, because obviously it's an advantage, you know, to Caldwell Parish school system. And I think the other day you and I talked about something that he did with what we're dealing with tonight, how well he did the job. So I want to applaud you on behalf of the board. That, I mean, because you sit back, you're quiet, you're humble, you don't never say a whole lot, and sometimes those people are overlooked. I just want you to know that we're proud of you.
Appreciate it.
We will be doing summer feeding for the month of June. The summer camp that Ms. Adams spoke of, we will be feeding there, and that's more of a close just for those kids, but we will be offering to all kids 18 and under at the high school, breakfast and lunch, no charge. So we do have kids, you know, at the high school doing credit recovery and things like that will get fed, and or athletics and stuff. But any student, child, 18 and under can come in and eat free. And that's just for June, Monday through Thursday. And it will be in the paper, and it will be on Facebook.
What's our times, Ms. Amy?
Breakfast is 7:15 to 8, and lunch is 10:45 to 12. And they can come anytime through that time period.
That it? All right. Item N, the board may enter into executive session pursuant to LARS 4217A2 to discuss a written demand received from Paul Shaw relative to his personnel file and any action the board may deem necessary thereafter.
Hey, Mr. Council, before we go into executive session, John, I just want those kids to understand that the superintendent and I talked about it, so I suggested that it go to the athletic committee because it's dealing with athletics, and then they can report back to us. I don't want them to think that they don't have an opportunity and a chance to come before the board to speak. They've been there a couple of times. So just from the legal standpoint, just let them know that they do have the right and the opportunity, and they will have the opportunity to come and speak, but it's not tonight. The superintendent and I, board president, we agreed that that would be the best option, so they would have the outlet to speak and say whatever it is they want to say, because they, like I said, they've tried to do it 2 or 3 times. I just don't want nobody to think they don't have a right to come here and speak.
If you want to go through the sports committee or athletic committee, that's fine. There's just certain things like personnel that we can't get into, but that'd be fine.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted them to understand, because I've seen them, one of the individuals introduce himself out there tonight, and I asked him what he was here for. He said, well, they don't let me speak. So I don't want nobody to feel like, you know, we're just rushing, that they don't have a right to come here, whether we agree or disagree with them. You know, they have a right to be heard, and I just want them to understand that they will have an option. I don't know when, Gary, the athletic committee is going to meet, but let them know so they can come and speak, and we can kind of move forward, because they've been waiting, you know, a while. But, you know, a lot of this stuff is red tape. It's not as simple as you think it may be. We just can't do what we would like to do, so we have to follow, you know, policy and procedure, and that's what we're trying to do. But you guys will get the opportunity to speak, and that's the board president, Mr. Castle. You can contact superintendent. Yeah, and Kaylee, if you don't mind, just let the high school to, you know, inform those individuals. Because I appreciate you guys wanting to get involved. You know, I was worse than you guys when I was your age. So I like to see you get involved with what your life has been affected with. So you have a right to come here, and you have a right to defend yourself and say whatever it is you want to say. And whether we like it or not, you know, we're going to listen. I don't know what it's about, but we're going to listen.
Who all's on the athletic committee? I know me,
Gary,
you, and
me, Miss Bass, and is it Randy? Who's up?
no, it's just
No.
Gary.
Can y'all set it tonight then?
No, it's Mary, Gary, and you.
Okay.
Who?
And then
Maria.
Gary, and
Maria.
Maria.
Mary's a mom.
I get it all the time.
Like, what are you talking about, Mary? Yeah, but I mean, just let them know, you know.
Y'all want to set a date?
No, I'm not on there.
Maria. And Gary.
Gary, Maria.
No, we can set a date if you want to let us know when would work for you.
Well, school's out, so
Maria.
whenever Maria can do it, I can do it for her.
in the afternoon, preferably.
Gary can't take a minute off early.
It's hard.
You are long and dedicated.
What about the Monday afternoon?
That's fine. Are we trying to do it this
I
month?
get off I get off early on Monday,
That's fine.
so like 3 o'clock.
The 22nd or the 29th? Like
I
this
don't think
coming
I have
Monday?
anything.
So the
That-
29th.
That's
That's
fine,
fine,
we can go to
that's
the
fine.
29th, that's fine too.
Memorial Day,
That's
that's
Memorial
Memorial
Oh,
Day.
yeah, so the 22nd.
Just make sure I don't have anything.
What time do you get off work, Lorraine?
5, but I can move some stuff.
we can-
I
Later
cannot-
the better
I
for
cannot
me.
do Monday.
Mary can pull some swings.
I've got junior high
Like
baseball.
if it's 5 o'clock, I'm
Oh,
done, but
Monday? No.
I'll make concessions. I mean, they've been here 3 or 4 times.
You said, what'd you say, Glenn?
I said the later in the evening's
Yeah,
better
that's
for
fine with
me,
me too,
but
if y'all wanna come later.
When is your,
The junior high baseball awards program is at 6 o'clock on May the 22nd.
Well, any day during that week,
I don't
at
care.
5 o'clock or after.
All my kids at school are off for 2 weeks, so I got the next 2 weeks where I can roll.
So what about 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
On Tuesday, is that
Tuesday the what?
23rd?
23rd? Then you guys can all speak.
That's good.
Well, there's still some other procedures that they need to
Yeah.
follow, yeah, but the 23rd. And you can get with the superintendent and find out exactly what you guys need to do, to, you know, to have your voice heard.
Takes me to my page.
Yeah, please, please. I've got a litter of dogs at home, and I may be like babysitting, so,
Are they 3 dollars?
no ma'am. No ma'am. If I could just get rid of them and be that way, but Miss Shelley won't go for that.
I make a motion, we go into executive session, because we've been here too long.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Wait,
Go
no.
back on.
2018. Man,
You play ball or anything?
I was a golfer.
Golfer, good for you.
Maya Glass,
Smart guy.
that's my daughter. Yeah, she's a Tigerette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
So who's your family in this?
Come on, boy, we gotta meet.
Mom's and Amy.
But the dad, that's in New York.
No, everybody left.
Say that
Everybody
again?
went home.
Okay, my bad.
Well, let's go.
I was truly interested till they, I mean, look, I coached at Neville for a year, so, and Mickey McCarty's a good friend of mine, so that's why I was interested.
Charlie, Coach Smith, you know Coach Smith? He's great. In '84, he was the all-star. He and Charlie Brown coached all-star.
Here we go.
Get 'em, Gary.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, so all I have for you is, we are wrapping up, students finished up today, and, teachers finished up next week. We're trying to get everything ready to move. Of course, we've got lots of positions to fill. We are, I sent y'all all, we're gonna have a job fair, and just, we're gonna reach out there, and we're trying to, just get as much interest as we can with positions at pretty much every school.
So you got a number on that?
A number on what?
The number of positions we have filled?
I can get it to you.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, it changes daily. I mean, like, we had another coach resign this morning, and then she hired 2 people. Not coach, but it's just, that number changes. We're trying to move, Coach Gatlin, resigned this morning. So, we are moving and shaking, trying to get that all taken care of. Summer camp kicking off and getting ready for that. What you have in your manila folder here is, the superintendent evaluation. So my contract says that before June, the end of June every year, you will evaluate me. I put that wording there at the top here that shows you, for my contract, the periodic evaluations. There's the performance objectives, and, last year we did it electronically, and I think that worked pretty well because it puts it all together for Gary to be able to kind of sign off on. So on the second page here, you've got the little QR code that you can just use your phone and answer the questions that go along with the evaluation. I also included the performance targets and the data that we have so far on that. And then the last page is just for new members. When I was hired, I came in with a vision and the things that I wanted to accomplish, and so every year I try to recap where we are and what we're doing in those areas, and so that's this next one. So.
One more question. Where are we, and I know we talked about it a little bit today, but where are we on Coach, the disappearance or the resigning of Coach Sampson and now Coach Gatlin? And I know our community's buzzing about what's gonna happen. How long are we gonna take to do that? What's the
Well,
plan?
I mean, they want to act pretty quickly. I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that there
We need to
are
act quickly.
interviews set up for Tuesday, 2 interviews already set up, and so as people they posted it on whatever the LHSA website is, and it takes a little bit of time, and as of 4 o'clock, it still was not up yet. And
So what's your plan on how long it should take? I mean, the end of next week? or-
That would be awesome. That would be great.
I mean, as a coach,
Yeah.
you don't like to go
you
into
don't.
June. I mean, workouts are starting.
Well, and then the next week, everybody will be gone to teacher leader, and so really, I mean, just hoping to get everything done. I know that I don't want to, I mean, it's the principal's decision, but I
Right.
mean, I've been encouraging her, put together a committee, interview the people who are there, but,
Nikki, my only issue on that, she's the principal, but she's fresh and new.
Yes.
And she
yes.
haven't dealt with that.
Right.
I think the athletic director shouldn't have, too much percentage in it, but I'd like to see, somebody, else that's involved to kind of give her some guidance.
Absolutely.
Because what you don't want to do is put too much pressure on a person, and they end up catching the flack from it. Not saying that she would, I just think, you put a measure there to try to help her.
So I think what she has is it's the principal and the assistant principal and the athletic director, the parish AD, which is Mr. Simmons, who's also the secondary director, and then Angela Gillette, who is the
Because we used to use committees.
And so you typically just do, this is a big decision, she knows it's a huge decision and wants the input of everybody in that.
Just because,
and I'll sit in on it as well.
just because the street committee has already started talking, that this job has been promised to somebody already, and if that's the case, we don't need to be wasting nobody else's time to come here, because I've had 3 people one from the professional athlete that was gonna recommend somebody. I told him today, no, don't even waste your time coming, because this word, what you're telling me, I'm hearing it myself. So I think you just wanna be fair to people, okay? The best person should get the job. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Geis?
And we all agree.
Well, we agree, but that don't mean it happens that way. So what I'm saying is, if we're saying that we are in the best interest of our kids, we want the kids to get the best, let's choose the best person. Let's not make guarantees of any kind, and I don't know where it's coming
My
from.
knowledge, there's no
but-
guarantee.
but
To my
it's out
knowledge,
there.
everybody's been very
Well,
open-minded.
you've heard it.
I haven't heard it. I don't even know who that
Well,
was.
I don't want to believe it, and I'm just voicing it now to let you know that that street committee that you and I talk about, it's already out there.
No, the
I just
street
want
committee
people to
does
understand
all
that if
kinds
you're
of-
applying in Caldwell, you're gonna get a fair shake. It shouldn't be a done deal, because those kids deserve.
Or it should be a done deal, and there ain't no need to have no bunch of interviews. I don't mind a done deal. Let's, if it's a
And
done
I'm-
deal, it's a
I'm
done
about
deal, right,
trust
Mr.
the
Geis?
process. I'm
I mean,
about
you've been
trust the
through it, if it's a
process.
done deal, it's a
You
done
have to put the
deal.
word out there, and when you have people who apply, interview them, and trust the process. I mean, that's the way I
Well,
work.
I think trusting the process is good, but sometimes you have to be able to verify the process, and Act 1 prevented that. And I've been an opponent of it from day one. I think it works good in certain instances, but in other instances it don't. I just want to make sure that kids have the fair shake that we say that they deserve, no matter who that person is, because I don't know who's applying. But what I am saying is that it shouldn't be a given. It should be earned.
I agree. That's all I
Big decision.
It is.
Yeah,
I make a motion.
hold on, Gary, hold on. Nick, I'm not gonna deal with this tonight, but I'm gonna bring it up. Because I talked to you about it, because I think it's something that needs to be dealt with. You know, the last meeting, you know, I think Mr. Barton was disrespected the next day by certain individuals. I don't know if you want me to deal with that tonight, or you wanna deal with it by yourself, but I have an issue with us doing our very best on the job. And because other people disagree with what is taking place, they wanna make a mockery or do things that are just disingenuous.
Can I ask you what you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to the Skittles incident. Okay, I think that's very, very, very inappropriate. I
Can
think
you
it
be
shows.
more elaborate,
Well, I
because I'm
think it's,
still lost.
well, I think it's just disrespectful. I'm not gonna do it here. I hope that that never happens again. It better never happen to me. I think it shows poor misjudgment to mock somebody based off of what they've done, and I think it shows that there's little respect for you being the person in charge, because that's something that that person should not be doing. And I'll leave it to you, to deal with it in your own way.
Already
But
been dealt with.
yeah, I just think it's not
It hadn't
fair.
been dealt with me, because I
I
haven't
don't
heard
know
about
that
it.
about it.
Well, it's just not fair. Well, if you don't, that's good.
I'd
Because
probably
I'm not
Since you brought it up, Nikki, you want to tell us about it?
No, we don't need to. I think.
No, this is probably something that's not
It
on
may be
our
worse
agenda.
than
Oh, yeah.
Our attorney says no. Next board
I'll call you on
meeting,
the way home, Barry.
just talk to Nikki.
June 8th.
June 8th, next board meeting.
June
Second
what?
Thursday, June 8th.
All right, those, we got Tuesday
What is
at
it,
5
June
o'clock.
As long as Kaylee sends me a reminder, I'll be
We've
good to go.
been having a change.
Do I need to send you a reminder?
Please.
That might be, I don't know.
Don't send it at
What
4:30.
time? What time?
I may be in Baxter at 4:30. Send it to me like at
Aaron,
lunchtime.
did you want to schedule a policy meeting?
Well, Nick, I thought about that, but what I think we need to do is just get together with, make sure that the policy is being followed.
I made this call.
And,
I think
fine.
that we've got school leaders who would love to have this policy meeting.
Well, Kaylee, we worked on it and we couldn't get the date set. Let's you and I talk about
I
it.
think we've got school administrators who are frustrated with
Yeah, I think,
people
now that you
not
mentioned that,
following policies.
yeah, we got a lot of teachers that are frustrated because of, so, again, I understand that the implementation of the policy sometimes can be a little difficult, and I'm well aware of that. I just think if you don't cut the head of the snake off when it first try to bite you, it's eventually gonna bite you. And I think we do the best, but there's just a lot of people at every school that I've talked to that's frustrated with, and we've talked about giving them the outlet to be able to talk about, their concerns. I think, you and I can get together, you can just call me, and Katie, we can set a date, Melinda, as long as it's,
Who's on the policy committee?
Melinda, and myself and Randy. I think we said 4 o'clock would be a good time. So in
Well, so can we do it before the next?
And
And I
if we-
say this because they're wanting to print handbooks, and so if anything changes, we need to go
So
in
you
and
wanna
get
do it
this
next
done.
week?
So I would love to do it next,
You wanna do it?
I can take a long dinner. That'd be fine.
a long lunch.
Yeah, I'm back downtown.
You wanna do it Monday? Well, where's Randy? Is he out of town?
Oh, yes, I'm not sure when he'll be back.
Well,
Tuesday at lunch?
This is not policy change, this is policy talk.
Policy enforcement.
We just need to look, we need to look at the dress code policy and the
Saw
cell
the
phone
panic.
policy. Administrators are frustrated because.
yeah, that
it's-
cell phone is gonna be,
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be issue. What I will say is either we're gonna enforce what we got, or we're just gonna do away with cell phone.
You want me to send you a bunch of sample
Yeah,
files?
if you don't mind, yeah.
Wednesday or Thursday, a long lunch would be great.
What day?
How about Thursday, because I think the teacher's last day is Wednesday. so-
Yeah, well, let's do it when they're here. So if we wanna go to the high school, we can meet with all of the principals there. I think we agreed to that anyway.
Yeah, we said something.
So if you wanna, just let them know, we'll meet at the high school.
May 24th at noon?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Katie, just remind me.
I will.
I know you will. May 24th at 12 noon,
Yes.
Not for that, though.
state's
Send
provided.
a lunch,
budget.
call vote, call vote.
Hey, I could probably hook you with some
Hey,
rodeo hot
hey,
dogs.
so that's not the rodeo, is it?
Did they say?
Well, let's-
Y'all wanna do it on Thursday, I'll bring you hot dogs.
Let's do it on
Or is that
Thursday
later?
until it gets back. We're gonna do it Thursday.
Okay.
We're gonna do it Thursday,
Thursday.
Hey,
25th.
drop some off us, though.
You gonna stand in line and get on?
Well, I know,
Hey, you can order, online, I
There's no
think.
jumping
You
on.
can.
You go pick them
Oh,
up.
you can, oh, you can now?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Hey, if we order ahead, I'll go get it.
Okay. I'm on one of my dogs, so hey.
I'm ready for it, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so May 23rd at 5 p.m. and May 25th at 12 noon.
Hey, Kaylee, yeah, just ask the principals, if there's anybody from their school, I mean, 'cause they can just be there, but I think specifically we'll talk to the administrators to try to find out what issues they've been having, what do we need to do to try to solve it, how do they feel about the cell phones and stuff like that, because I've had people to ask about it since we talked, but I think it's been a problem,
It absolutely is.
especially the phone with, stuff going on, tests, and that's gonna be
Let
a
me
tough
get this right,
decision.
y'all not changing anything,
Well,
y'all
we
just
made it.
talking about
No,
it.
well, we,
So the policy committee can change it without the board
Oh, no, no,
vote?
no,
policy,
no.
the policy committee recommend.
Okay,
I think what we really need to do is just enforce what's there.
I wouldn't argue with that.
I think, yeah, but I think there are some other underlying issues that they need to discuss to try to find out
As far as dress.
how the I's dotted and the T's crossed, because some things are not necessarily clear, John. So if you'll send that information, we may be able to mimic some of the stuff that we got
Thank you.
that's there, yeah.
As far as dress code, I don't like it anyway, but I mean, that's what y'all, I don't have any kids there anymore.
So you wanna go back to regular clothes?
That would be my, I've always been that way, but I know some.
Hey, I don't have a problem entertaining that.
I don't like it.
But I think,
Everybody knows that.
and that's what I'm
I've been
saying.
transparent with
Why
that.
don't we adjourn and then?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Hit that gavel. Don't you gotta